Hey guys, so since the last video that we did not too long ago about adoption, I spoke with my parents and asked them what their thoughts would be if they'd be okay with recording for our YouTube channel and actually telling my adoption story and their experience with adoption. And so I'm actually gonna head over there and we're gonna do this. I'm pretty excited to relive this, although I don't remember if they ever really told me everything. So it's gonna be exciting to hear. All right, I just got here. This is the house I grew up in. This is the home that they brought me home. I was born in November of 1972, but they didn't bring me home until December. So my mom always says that I was her Christmas present. So here we go. Oh, this is gonna be fun. Let's see if they remember that I'm coming over to do this. Ooh, they have the air conditioning on. Hello? Woody, who is that? It's your darling daughter. Well, we're recording. Remember, we're coming over to record today. Hi.
Hello. We're here.
I'm so glad you're here. Thank you for doing this with me. I wanted you guys to talk a little bit about my adoption story and how that all came about, or just go back to why did you guys adopt?
Well, first we were kind of older when we got married, and I thought immediately I would be able to have a baby. But it just didn't happen, and it didn't happen. And then we were living out in Brea, and I think someone mentioned to us, well, you should adopt. And then they knew an attorney who worked in adoptions. And so we did make an appointment, and we went to see him. We filled out an application. Within, I think, 2 or 3 months, he called us and said he had someone that he thought would work for us. He gave us the address. We went to meet this lady over in, I think, Covina. And then when she had the baby, we picked it up from the hospital, and we were just really thrilled to have a baby. And we took her home, and then the attorney called us within a couple of weeks and said she's not willing to sign the papers. She wants to keep the baby herself. So we had to give that little baby girl back. But then immediately he sent us to meet another lady down in Orange County, and she met with us, and we talked, had a nice conversation with her. And when she had the baby, then we picked that baby up from the hospital, which was a little boy, which was our first little child. We named him Gregory Dean. And so at that point we were really happy, and it was hard because he was a little bit more active than the little baby girl, which we'd only had for a couple of weeks, but he was still ours. And somehow we wanted to have a more complete family, and so we had planned on another adoption, and this time we went through the LDS Church Social Services, and that was a whole different way of doing it. We didn't meet the mother. They just had our name on the list, and we had wanted a girl. So when she called and said, come out to Upland and see if this little baby girl is what you would want. And we took one look at this little baby girl, and we said, oh yes, we want this one. And so we brought her home, and I don't know if there's any particular reason for us to adopt other than that we just hadn't had any luck having one of our own. Although once you adopt one, they're your own. They're definitely just like your own. We had our family more or less complete at that point, and that was why we adopted.
All right, so I'm joining my parents now. My mom just gave a little bit of an insight into the overall. But
take your mask off.
Oh, you want me to take our mask off? Okay. So I was the second child, and I remember when I was younger. Did you have a plan to tell me when I was adopted, or that I was adopted?
One of the requirements that they insisted on is that I read these 2 books, and one of them was Adoption and After, and I can't remember the name of the other one, but it suggested that as soon as they were old enough to understand a little bit, that we should tell them, not to let them find out from relatives or friends or some other church members, or someone said, oh, but you're adopted, or how, something like that. So I think that they recommended when they were 6 years old that we should tell them. So we were advised that way, and we had a nice little description of kind of ideas of what to say, like you were chosen, and you were specially, Heavenly Father chose you to be the parents of these little children, or these babies. It was a nice way to say it, and I don't think either one of you did anything just other than saying, well, you didn't understand, of course, you know, but
it was never a shock. You mean I'm not really from you and adopted? So it was a natural, gradual thing that we just felt it was a good idea to let you two know as early in life as was practical, and it worked out pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. My earliest memory, though, of being told that I was adopted was from Greg.
Huh.
That's my earliest memory of it. And I remember Greg telling me that I was adopted, and I didn't know what that meant. I just remember him.
Well, it could have been because he knew before you, because he was 5 years older.
Yeah.
And so he knew when we went to adopt you, how we brought you home, and this is your little sister. And I don't think he did it in a mean way.
Yeah.
Or was it just because he was just...
You know, I don't... It was so long ago, but that was my earliest memory of being told that I was adopted. And I remember packing up my bicycle and riding it down the street to the track, and I'm running away. And Greg told you, and then you end up coming to talk to me. We ended up talking on the football field, the benches over there.
Oh, gosh.
About that. It was so long. I think I was probably 5. I would say I was 5 or 6. But that was my earliest memory. But after that, I never felt that I was adopted, that anything was ever really different, because you guys never, I mean, people always thought that I looked like Dad. And Greg looked like you.
Well, I thought it was the opposite. You looked like me.
Well, but I had the brown eyes.
Yeah.
Greg had the blue eyes. You have brown eyes. You have the blue eyes. So I never really ever got called out or anything like that by people thinking that, you know.
No.
I didn't realize that might have been how you first learned about it. That never occurred to me. I've never heard that story before.
Yeah, Greg was kind of a little bit of a bully to me when I was little.
Yeah, he was.
And I think it was because I was the girl and, you know, new to the family. Why was there a 5-year difference? Like a break in between? Was that something that you planned on, or is that something that you had to wait?
I think we just waited because we were sort of in a changeable thing. We were moving from that big house to this house, and he was going to start school. I just don't remember why we waited. I was still teaching, but then we didn't need my money then to pay the payment on this house, whereas before we did.
Okay.
And so then in order to adopt from the LDS Social Services, the mother had to be not working.
Oh, okay. So because with Greg, you mentioned you went through a lawyer, but with me, you went through the church.
Right.
So that means my birth mom or dad, one of them were LDS.
The mom was.
The mom was LDS.
What we heard. Yeah.
Okay.
She taught Sunday school.
She did?
Yeah.
But she was just a teenager.
Well, they do that in those days.
That
kind of
is-
like teaching primary.
That
now.
is true, yeah, because
Junior Sunday
juniors.
school.
Okay, so she was a primary teacher, like a teen. That's nice. Dad, you have brothers and sisters who all had children. Did you ever think that you could have children on your own, or?
I had an uncle who never had any children, and I had 2 uncles who never had any children. We never did get to the bottom of whose fault it was. Not the fault, but what was the problem. I had a low sperm count.
Okay.
But that didn't disqualify it.
Right.
Totally.
Okay.
But that was one of the reasons, probably.
Did you find that out before you adopted Greg, or
No.
after me?
We went to some fertility tests.
Okay. And you found out that you had a low sperm count,
Yeah.
but you also suffered from endometriosis.
Yes, but I didn't know that at the time.
Right. So that could have definitely been a contributing factor, but back then you just didn't have the science, if you will,
No.
or
No, we didn't know.
Just didn't know.
Sometimes when you adopt a child, then after that you get pregnant. That might have been one of the reasons we waited 5 years, thinking, well, I've heard stories that once somebody adopts somebody, then lo and behold, they get pregnant.
Right.
There's
Right.
a lot of
That
people who have
wasn't
an
the-
adoption plus their own children.
Sure.
But I don't
Jim
think that
Hamilton
was the
did.
reason. It
Right.
just-
Yeah.
Well, we know other people who have done it as well. They adopted after many,
But
many
that
years.
wasn't the reason for 5 years. I don't
I
know
don't
why
think
we waited
I don't
5
really
years.
remember why. It took a while to get you. I mean, it wasn't like we went in there. I think we had to wait like a year and a half before they
Maybe
called
that
and
was
said
the
they
reason.
had a baby
I
for us.
forgot.
What was it like? Like, did you have to do interviews, or did you just fill out an
Yes.
application like I want a child?
Not with
and-
Greg, but with you. They
Well,
put us
yes,
through the mill.
we had a social worker that was assigned, and they would come and check the living conditions and the employment, and there were some other questions, about.
And that was before you got me.
Yeah,
So then after,
I think it was maybe a little bit before and then quite a bit after,
Uh-huh.
before it was finalized. We had to wait till the signatures came through of the birth mother had to sign, and I think the birth father had to sign.
so both of them had to agree.
I think so.
I don't
It's
remember
been a
that.
long time.
It has been a long time, but you got some things in here that are really, really interesting. And I remember seeing this, I think when I was in junior high school, I saw my baby book. And is this from the social services, the church?
Yeah.
So what they wrote on this, so I was a baby girl. I was born on November 22nd, 1972. I was 20 inches long. I was 6 pounds, 13 ounces. I received a medical examination on December 8th, 1972. But then there's information about my natural mother and my natural father. So both my biological parents were 17 years old. The race and nationality, Caucasian, English, Italian, Caucasian, Irish, German, which is weird because my memory was always one of them was fully Italian, and I always
You said you were Italian.
yeah, and I always figured it was my father, the natural father, but it was actually opposite. He was the Irish German, and she was half Italian. Characteristics, they're both in 11th grade, and it's
Sounds like you.
right. Yeah, I was gonna get to that later, but that's pretty interesting. She was only 5'4", but he was 5'10", and I'm 5'5" and a half.
So you're not real tall.
I'm not tall. No.
You're not short.
I'm not short, no. She was 113 pounds, which is pretty much how tiny I was for a long, long time. Brown eyes, dark blonde hair, light olive skin, medium build, cute. And then her special interests were, I'm not sure what this is, but handwork? Is that like sewing?
Crafts and
Crafts? Well, crafts is the next thing. So handwork, crafts, reading, cooking, drama, social activities.
drama. That's you.
Yeah.
And social activities.
So the natural father, obviously, 11th grade, physical characteristics, 5'10", 160, light brown hair, medium skin, medium muscular build. Special interests were carpentry and mechanics.
There you go.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah, because you have those skills.
Because
Totally,
Jake
yeah.
is interested in those things.
My kids, and it's weird how the biological side of
Yeah.
it,
Yes, it's going to come through.
it comes through. So
of course.
my adopting parents, Mr. and Mrs. Roy Arnold and Gregory Arnold. That is so cool that they put that Greg was part of it, even though he had no choice and probably would have preferred that he be the only child
He preferred to be the only child.
forever. But I thought that was really, really cool that you guys had this from social services.
I think I have something else in there. I'll have to look. Okay, you were born on November 22nd.
Uh-huh.
And you were in the care of, I guess you would call it a foster parent.
Oh.
We didn't get you as a baby.
I remember this, yes, because when I had Jacqueline, you gave it to me.
Maybe you have
And I
it.
think I put it in Jacqueline's baby book. It was the woman who took care of me.
Yeah, and she
wrote
just-
down all my feedings, my diaper changes, all that stuff.
And she called you Susie.
She called me Susie.
Little Susie.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, why'd you name me Amy?
Because I wanted something simple, and we love Little Women. And so I wanted to spell it perfectly normal, because all my life I had to spell not only my first name, but my last name.
For people.
And then I wanted it kind of an alliteration, so Amy Arnold, and then Ruth came from my mom. So Amy Ruth sounded good together.
Yeah.
You still had to spell it.
A-M-Y.
But then there's so many different...
Not as frequently as
But
people
there
who
were
are spelled
people would
differently.
say, well, how do you spell Amy? And they'd spell it with an I-E or a...
A-I-M-E-E.
You were an Amy.
Yeah.
No doubt about it. You were an Amy.
And another lady, after we got you, she had a baby, and she called me and she said, is it okay with you if we name our little girl Amy? And I said, well, yes, but it was tricky because, we were in the church together, and so when they say Amy, I think, is it my Amy or her Amy? But it's a popular name.
There was a song, Once in Love with Amy.
Once
Really?
in Love with Amy. I always sang that song a little
Always
bit.
in
I
Love
think I
with
remember
Amy.
that. Yeah.
1950s, I think.
So you don't think I have that description?
I think I actually have it in Jacqueline's baby book.
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure I kept that. Because I got pregnant when I was 16.
Right.
Had Jacqueline when I was 17. Which is so weird that...
Isn't it?
Same thing happened with my biological. But when that happened, and that's completely another story, which we can go on forever, but you had never had the opportunity to give birth or be a part of that process. But Tony, my husband at the time, was in the military, and you got to be my
I got
coach.
to be there when Jacqueline was born. I went through all the lessons, and I learned a lot. I didn't even know how they called it, the crowning.
Right? Yeah. I knew nothing.
I knew nothing either.
Yeah, but it was such an awesome... I think that was probably one of those situations where, for most families was like, no, you and Dad we're not giving this child away. This child is for us.
I
Sure,
think
you
we
weren't
were pretty
married.
firm on that. Nobody's going to give our grandchild to anybody.
Yeah, you both were. I'm
No
looking
way.
for that. There was a poem that was in here. Did you take that poem out?
No, it's still there.
That little poem about adoption.
There,
It is. Okay. So this is one of these that you used to cut out of the newspaper.
Yeah, when it applied.
Yeah, do you want to read it?
My own child, I did not plant you true, but when the season is done, when the alternate prayers for sun and rain are counted, when the pain of weeding and the pride of watching are through, then I shall hold you high, a shining leaf above the thousand seeds grown wild, not by planting, but by heaven, my harvest, my own child. It was a different one.
Yeah. This is so good, though. So true. I mean, and all this came up, honestly, because there was a YouTuber a family who adopted a child, brought him home to them, and who had special needs, and then rehomed the child. And it really hit me at home, because it just, imagine all the struggles that I put you guys through. If you guys just would have been like, no, we can't. We're going to find you a new home, a new family to take care of you. I could never imagine it, because all of my life, I have felt that I chose you. Even though you said in the beginning how in the books you guys read were about teaching, or that you adopted a child that you chose me, which is true, you did. You chose me. You said it yourself. But I always felt that I chose you.
Oh, how sweet.
Well, of course, we wanted a girl the second time, so we chose that option.
Well, lucky me. All right, so when I was born and you guys got me, you didn't know about what I was born with.
When I first saw you, I didn't notice it at all.
Yeah.
I just saw this cute baby girl, and then when we had you home, I had you in kind of a little crib thing, and I looked down and I said, "Oh, she's got a swollen cheek. What is this? You know, and I hadn't noticed it before. So I think I took you to a doctor and a pediatrician, and he looked at it. He said, no, this isn't a bruise, or you haven't bumped her cheek or anything. And he said he kind of thought it was a Bell's palsy or something like that. I don't know if he even said, but he found out you were adopted, and he said, well, take her back. I said, I'm not taking her back. You know,
The doctor said that to you?
I think so.
Wow.
And that, you know, so in the process of trying to figure out whether we could get this, and some said, well, she'll just grow out of it. And another doctor who worked in the Army, who had worked with really horrible cases as an Army surgeon, he said, I can take care of that. And yet it just sounded so extreme, and we just went with the other option. We'd wait. Other doctors said wait till she's 6 years old, till she's got her permanent teeth, and so in the end it just seemed to kind of get less noticeable, except for you. I think it was a hard thing for you to have during some of those years.
Yeah.
But then when you finally got old enough, you had to have it taken care of yourself because there was some kind of growth in there.
I remember going in front of a panel of people. You guys took me to a panel of doctors.
Yeah, the tumor group.
Yeah. How old was I?
I think you were, no, maybe you were that young.
I just, all I remember is a bunch of men and women putting their hands in my mouth and pulling and touching, and I remember one doctor saying to wait until I was 18. Wait until I was fully grown.
Right.
And that's what I took from it. Luckily, what I had as a child didn't cause you medical expenses, you know, but you didn't know. It's crazy, but you don't know what you're going to get. But you don't know what you're going to get with your own children, let alone the ones you adopt.
But you were still so cute. Such a cutie.
You would say that.
I thought so. I thought you were just darling.
Do you remember what day it was that you brought me home?
December 19th. I remember it well.
I think there's a picture of you and Greg and me in a carrier. And was it in front of this house, or was it in front of the place you picked me up?
I think in front of this house, wasn't it?
He brought you home to this house.
Okay.
That was a happy Christmas.
Yeah, very happy.
A special Christmas present.
And every Christmas since. It's been a joy since I've been in your life.
Yeah, right.
Would you do it again?
Oh,
Without
definitely.
hesitation, of course we would.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, we'd probably, if we were younger, we would have probably tried for 3 or 4.
I don't know, 2 was enough for me.
At the time,
it was a big job, you know.
I always wanted a big family because I came from 5 children in my family, and I always thought 5 would be a good number. Didn't work out that way, but you take what you can get and live with it and be happy.
Yeah, I remember telling people, I want to have 6. But after I had 2, I changed my mind.
And I was just telling Arlene the other day, when was it, the other day, that, you know, if we had chosen not to adopt anyone, we probably never would have had any children. We never would have had any children. And we would have grown old without any children to raise, any grandchildren coming to visit us and love us. Like, there are several of our friends who didn't have children, couples, and they went through life without that, and we thought, how sad to end up in your old age with no family, no children, no grandchildren, no great-grandchildren to come and love you and say hello, and we are loved by our children and our grandchildren.
Oh, for sure. Oh, for sure.
What
I mean,
greater blessing can anybody have? We don't have wealth, but we have love in the family, and that's the important thing.
out of everything, and you've taught me so much, is the fact that unconditional love is the greatest thing you could teach somebody and teach your children. Because, I mean, I obviously have Jacqueline and Jake. I gave birth to both of them. I raised both of them with you and Tony and all of the surrounding families that help raise children. Now, with Elizabeth, and having Jameson and Jasper. I did not give birth to them, but there is no question
right.
that
They're yours.
that they are
Very
my
similar, yeah.
babies.
Yeah.
That's exactly how we felt. You were ours, and that's the way it was. Yeah. Well, I don't know if it's in any order or not, but your real birth certificate, I think should be yours.
Yeah.
This is your, but our marriage license is in there,
Okay.
so I need that back. But these are just various paperworks. Here's a copy of your birth certificate. You're going to take this baby book with you?
No, we'll keep it here with the other stuff that I've got.
Well, just kind of read through some of these stuff.
What is this? Just like a pad?
Oh, that was just your sayings on the back that, I should have
Oh, got it. These are things that I said when I was little, my first words.
written. Well, no, they're in the book. Some of your first words.
Bengal bars, Book of Norman.
That's just things you said. This is really, for some reason, I had no other paper at the time.
Well, don't lose that. That stays over here.
Well,
It was in my baby book, so we'll keep it here.
Well, I'll be sorry.
Okay. What did I say when I was 5?
Some of our church friends came to the door,
Okay.
and we were talking to them at the door, and out of nowhere, you said, "You fuck, you fuck, you fuck." And we were in shock.
What?
I mean, we never taught you that.
Where would I have even heard
I
that?
don't know.
probably from Greg.
Oh boy, I'm telling you.
Oh,
We were pretty embarrassed about that.
I imagine.
This is kind of a nice letter.
What's that letter? That was from social services.
Yeah, that we have been approved. And that was in August, and I thought we'd have to wait a long time, but
Wow. This must have been an amazing day getting this letter.
yeah, it was. It was all,
August 1st, 1972.
and this is just more stuff.
Wow. All
Knowing-
these women.
I kept the carbon paper and everything.
This is awesome that you kept all this, Mom.